Yeah. I'm the business bishop, on a mission so divine. Coaching up the kingdom, watch your glory start to shine. Step into your purpose, let ambition be your guide. Grow your greatness high with faith right by your side. In the marketplace, calling, hear the angels sing. You cannot lose when faith meets the grind. Stand up, take action, leave the fear behind. With a vision so strong, there's no way you fail. The kingdom is your canvas, let your spirit sail. Bishop Wayne's in your corner, together we'll break through. Victory's a choice and today you're gonna choose. Living out your dreams, ain't no time for second best. Fulfill your destiny, put your limits to the test. Break those chains, rise up, find your flow. You cannot lose when faith meets the grind. Stand up, take action, leave the fear behind. With a vision so strong, there's no way you fail. The kingdom is your canvas, let your spirit sail. In the marketplace, call it. In the marketplace, call it. In your corner, together we'll break through. Victory's a choice and today you're gonna choose. Living out your dreams, ain't no time for second best. Fulfill your destiny, put your limits to the test. Break those chains, rise up, find your flow. Find your flow. You cannot lose when faith meets the grind. Stand up, take action, leave the fear behind. With a vision so strong, there's no way you fail. The kingdom is your canvas, let your spirit sail. Rise up, business bishop, let your victory roar. Coaching for the kingdom, you're destined for more. Rise up, business bishop, let your victory roar. Coaching for the kingdom, you're destined for more.
Hey, good people, kingdom family, greetings, blessings, salutations, and welcome to another Kingdom Conversation with me, your host, Bishop Wayne Malcolm, the Business Bishop. Always excited and delighted to be a part of your life and legacy through this ministry. I am thanking God for each and every one of you that is joining us live. And for those of you that are catching the replays, congratulations. Now, if you are catching the replays, it's possibly because you have subscribed to the channel and you've clicked the bell for notifications. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, would you please go ahead and subscribe to our channel, click the bell for notifications, because we are posting new and rich content on a weekly basis. And I know you don't want to miss out. This is a Kingdom Conversation, and we are a growing kingdom community. So today I'm going to continue our series on success principles in the Bible, And if in fact you have missed any of the sessions, the great news is that they're all on my YouTube channel. So thank you for everyone that has subscribed to the channel. And a big thank you for those of you that like the posts and those of you that leave a comment, because by subscribing, liking, leaving a comment, you're actually helping the channel to become more visible to more people who are looking for answers and solutions in this particular area. So if you want to help the channel out, if you want to help out the ministry in any way, subscribe, like, comment, and share. That's right. And those of you that are joining me live, you know what to do with the chat box. I want you to utilize the chat box as your virtual voice. And if we say anything that constitutes a light bulb moment for you, an epiphany, an elevation in your understanding, a paradigm shift, then please do indicate it in the chat box. And you know I love the emojis. And of course, I love my sound effects. And so with that said, let's dive into today's session. Today, I'm going to be speaking about the omnipotence of faith, the omnipotence of faith. And I know that for some people, my very title is borderline sacrilegious because within Judeo-Christian theology, omnipotence is an attribute that belongs to God exclusively. God is all-powerful. God is almighty. God is the omni. He is omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient. He is everywhere present at the same time. He knows everything. He can do anything. So when I talk about the omnipotence of faith, like, ooh, not quite sure where he's going with this. Well, stick around and you may just agree with me by the time we conclude. So here's a little bit of an outline. I'm going to explain what I mean by the omnipotence of faith as context for the concept. We're then going to look at faith, what faith actually is in terms of substance and evidence according to Hebrews 11. We look at the spiritual origin of material things. I'm going to talk about materializing the spiritual, one of my favorite subjects. We're going to look at creating the creators, truth versus the facts, pretending or positioning, illusion and reality. And then we'll do some other wonderful things. Let's go into it. So, omnipotence is the attribute that the Bible ascribes to God exclusively. God is all-powerful. God is almighty. God is omnipotent. And we're going to read this in Matthew 19, verse 26. But Jesus beheld them and said unto them, with men this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. So I want you to notice that phrase, with God all things are possible. So that is a reference to the omnipotence of God. God knows no limit. He knows no boundary. He is not limited by space or time. He is present and active in the universe, but the universe exists in him. Before there was a universe, there was God. Genesis 1, in the beginning, God created heaven and earth. So before there was a creation, there was a creator. And so God is transcendent and omnipotent. He can do anything that he wants to do. Okay, so I think we all believe in the omnipotence of God. I don't think it's hard to believe in the omnipotence of God. I think it's the easy part of faith. I think it's easy to believe that God can do anything. And I don't think I've met anyone who is a believer or a theist, right, who struggles to believe that God can do anything because they attribute creation to God. And if God could create this universe, well, there's nothing he cannot do. So it's easy to believe that with God all things are possible. But let's look at Mark 9, verse 23. Jesus said unto him, if thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. Oh, wow. So the exact same phrase, all things are possible, which is a phrase describing omnipotence. But here, all things are possible to him that believes. To him that believes. So whereas it is quite easy for us to believe that God can do all things, where we struggle is believing that we can access that, all right? That all things are possible to him that believeth. And that's what I mean by the omnipotence of faith, that all things are possible to him that believeth, or that faith puts you in the realm of possibility where all things are possible. And how many of you would like to operate in that realm or connect with that realm or have access to a dimension of possibility, a world and a realm of possibility? And if that's you, shout your amen in the chat box. So let's define faith, given that all things are possible to him that believes, because we want to understand what that really means and why it is true that all things are possible to him that believes. Let's define faith, and let's let the Bible define faith. Hebrews 11 verse 1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. One more time. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So I'm going to paraphrase that, right? So this is the Malcolm paraphrase edition. And here's what it says. Now faith makes substantial the things you hope for and proves the existence of things you haven't seen. Wow. And wow, that deserves a sound effect. So faith makes substantial things you hope for. Okay, so there are things that you hope for, but faith makes those things substantial because faith is the substance of those things. Faith is the substance of those things, therefore faith makes those things substantial. And faith proves the existence of things you are yet to see. So you're yet to see them, but you have evidence in yourself that they exist. And in this respect, if faith is a spiritual substance. Faith is what? A spiritual substance. It's certainly how Jesus described it when he talked about faith as the grain of a mustard seed, right? If you have faith as the grain of a mustard seed, a speck of faith, a tiny speck of faith is so potent that it will move mountains. And in this respect, faith is a spiritual substance, and it is the most potent substance known to man because it can move mountains, it can relocate mountains, it can uproot trees, and it can make substantial the things you're hoping for, and it can prove the existence of things you are yet to see. Faith is a spiritual substance. And given that it is so potent that a little speck of it can move mountains and create things, then I want more faith. So let's try to understand spiritual substance as it relates to material things. Spiritual substance as it relates to material things, because I've said here in this slide, I've entitled this slide, The Spiritual Origin of Material Things. The spiritual origin of material things. And what we're saying here is that material things are made of non-material substance or stuff. Material things are made of non-material stuff. So there is a substance of things, all right? And the substance of things is spiritual, even if the things are material. Because material things have spiritual origins. Material things come out of a spiritual world. They come out of a spiritual realm. And I guess we see that in Genesis 1. Before we even get to Hebrews 11, Genesis 1, verse 1, in the beginning, God created heaven and earth. So where did the material world come from? Where did the physical universe come from? It came out of God. It came out of God's creative capacity. It was a manifestation of God's idea, of God's intent, of God's plan, of God's purpose. In the beginning, God created heaven and earth. And so the physical world came out of the spiritual world. Before there was a world, there was a word. According to John 1, verse 1 and following, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. So physical things have spiritual origins, spiritual roots. They come from spiritual places. Hebrews 11, verse 3. Through faith we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of God, so that things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. Wow, and wow. Things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. So that material things have spiritual roots. The spiritual origin of material things, things which are seen, are not made of things which do appear. And I guess in physics today, in science, in physics today, they have reached the same or a similar conclusion, that physical things are made out of non-physical things, right? So physical things have non-physical substance, so that matter, when observed under the most powerful microscopes, all matter is made up of tiny particles called molecules. And then under even more powerful microscopes, those molecules are made up of even smaller parts called atoms. And then the atoms themselves are made up of smaller parts, what are called subatomic particles, like protons and neutrons, right? And the protons and the neutrons and the subatomic particles are not things. They're not material. They are information and energy interacting and vibrating, so that behind material things, there is, at the root of material things, there's information, there's energy, there's vibration. And science has reached a similar conclusion to Hebrews 11 verse 3, so that things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. And what that means is that creation, what we call creation and creativity, is really the act of materializing something spiritual. Given that all material things begin in the spiritual realm, they come into the physical world through the act of creation, which is really materializing your own imagination. Creativity is materializing your idea. It is manifesting your imagination. In the beginning, God created heaven and earth. Well, where was heaven and earth before God created them? They were in Him. They were in His idea, in His imagination, in His purpose, in His design, in His desire. They were spiritually in God. And when God spoke them into existence, He was materializing something that already existed in another realm. Materializing the spiritual. Somebody shout with me, materializing the spiritual. One more time, shout it out loud. Materializing the spiritual. That's what creation is. That's what creativity looks like. That's what inventions are. That's where skyscrapers came from. That's where aeroplanes came from. That's where the internet came from. That's where telecommunications came from. That's where cars and highways came from. That's where railroads came from. That's where spaceships came from. They came out of someone's imagination, someone's idea, and they were materialized. And before they were material, they were spiritual. Before they were material, they were spiritual. Before your business is material and profitable, it is first spiritual. Somebody need to help me scream. Before your business is visible, material, and profitable, it is first spiritual. It exists in you as an idea, as an intention. It exists in you as thought. And creation is the act of materializing your imagination, your ideas, your intention, your thought, putting flesh on your word. So, faith is the force that materializes the spiritual. That's really what faith does. Faith is the force that materializes the spiritual. The Bible is not about spiritualizing the material. I need to pause there, and I need to give a sound effect there. The Bible is not about spiritualizing the material. Now, the version of Christianity that I inherited as a young believer and as a teenager was one that very much used the Bible to spiritualize the material. So if the Bible spoke about land and leadership and riches and wealth and health, all of these things were then spiritualized, right? So that it was never God's intent that you become a landowner, that you be healthy and wealthy. These things meant that God wanted you to be spiritually wealthy and spiritually healthy, and to have spiritual riches, and to own spiritual territory, and to just be, because we took all the material stuff, right? So, God has this friend called Abraham, and the Bible says that Abraham is very rich. And God promises him a whole country, and God promises him more children than he can count. Well, we would look at that and say, yes, Abraham was very rich, but what that means for us is that you can be the friend of God if you can be rich in humility, and rich in faith, and rich in virtue, and all of these things, right? But in the Bible, God had a very rich friend, right? He was God's friend, the friend of God. He was very rich, and God cut covenant with him. So the Bible isn't really about spiritualizing the material. It's God's handbook on how to materialize the spiritual. How do I know that the Bible is fundamentally about materializing the spiritual? Because it opens up with the materialization of a spiritual thing. What we see God doing in Genesis chapter 1 is materializing his idea, materializing the spiritual. And what we begin to see throughout the rest of the Genesis narrative is God materializing his intent, his plan, his program. And so it's important for us to know that faith has everything to do with grabbing something out of the spiritual world and bringing it into the material world. We'll dive into that. Now, I have made a comment down here that I should comment on, that the trichotomy of man puts him in three worlds simultaneously, so he can transport things from one world to the next. Now, this is kind of another teaching and probably deserves a whole series by itself. But according to Psalm 8, the question is asked, what is man that God is so mindful of him? Like, why is man the pinnacle of God's creative genius? Like, why is it that God made everything for man, but made man for himself? What is God's obsession with man? And what we see is that man is a tripart being. There are three parts to us, called spirit, soul, and body. So you are a spirit, right? You have a soul, you live in a body, right? So if you want to look at the composition of a human being, we are spiritual beings fundamentally. We have souls, and we live in a body. Now, each part of your trichotomy is itself a center of consciousness. Woohoo! I wish I had some help in here. Each part of you is a center of consciousness and is conscious of a particular realm. So your body is conscious of the physical world. That's the consciousness of the body, is that it is conscious of the physical world. The soul is self-conscious, meaning that in the soulish part of you, you have a mind that is capable of thinking about your own thoughts. What? Yeah. This is a realm, right? Consciousness is a realm of thought, the world of thought, where your imaginations are, where you think about what you're thinking, when you think about what others are thinking, where you process and interrogate your own ideas. It's like a factory where you get to manufacture things before they appear, right? So this soulish realm is really the big battlefield for believers. And again, that's why I say it's going to be another session. But you are fundamentally a spiritual being, which means you are conscious of the realm of God. You have God consciousness. So with the spirit, you are God conscious. With the soul, you're self conscious, and with the body, you are world conscious. Because each part of you is a center of consciousness. And what this means is that you that your trichotomy puts you in three worlds simultaneously. And because spiritually you're in one realm, mentally you're in another realm, physically you're in another realm, then guess what? You are the vehicle, you are the bridge, you are the doorway between those realms. And God can put something in your spirit that can enter your mind. And once it's in your mind, it can be manifested through the work of your hands. God gets things out of the spiritual into the material through human beings. Woo! That's a whole nother teaching. If you want some, you have to let me know. But here's why I say faith is omnipotent. Faith is omnipotent. Or let me say it the way Jesus said it. Jesus said, all things are possible to him that believeth, right? So let's look at why faith is omnipotent. It is because it is the spiritual substance from which material things are made. It can move or relocate mountains. It can uproot trees, and it is a form of spiritual currency. Fundamentally, faith puts you in the arena of possibility, in the place of limitless possibility. Faith puts you above the mountain, beyond the obstacle, beyond the barrier. Faith puts you in God's realm and in God's world. And it connects you to God's world where all things are possible. And this brings me to how faith actually works. And it works, or how it's expressed. And it's expressed through creativity. And what we've said here is that creativity is the image and likeness of God. So if you want to, if you want to see the image and likeness of God in a human being, don't look at his biology. Don't look at his biology, because biologically, we are very similar to other creatures. Okay, we have similarities. There are similarities between human biology and other creatures. So that's not where the image and likeness of God is. You will not see it in his biology. You will see it in his psychology. I wish I had some help in here. If you are looking for the image and likeness of God in a person, you will not see it in his biology. You will see it in his psychology. Why do I say this? Well, there are a lot of people who believe that men and monkeys have a common ancestor, and that we evolved from this common ancestor, and some, the monkeys continue to be monkeys, and then the other kind of monkeys begin to evolve and then became human beings. And you know what? I'm going to admit to you that I have met some people. And I have wondered, maybe Darwin had a point. Maybe there is a common ancestor. Okay? But that's a joke. Here's my point. My point is that that's not where we're looking for the image and likeness of God. The image and the likeness of God in Genesis 1. First of all, you need to ask yourself, well, what was God like in Genesis 1? Because if I know what God's like, I can identify his likeness. So all we know about God in Genesis 1 is that he is the creator. He creates. We know very little else about him. We know that he created heaven and earth. We know he did it in stages and phases. We know that he created an ecosystem capable of supporting and sustaining life on planet Earth. We know he's the author of life. We know of God's creative capacity, his limitless creative capacity in Genesis 1. So in Genesis 1, when he says, let us make man in our image after our likeness, then the image and likeness of God is creativity. And if you want to see God likeness in a human being, you will see it in his insatiable appetite to create and in his limitless capacity to create. That's right. So no matter how much the man looks like a monkey or the monkey looks like a man, the monkey has no chance of manufacturing the spectacles that I'm wearing right now. The monkey has no chance of ever building the microphone I'm using right now, the computer I'm using right now, the clothes I'm wearing right now. What differentiates humankind from animal kind is our insatiable appetite to create and our limitless capacity to create. And therein is the image and the likeness of God. You are godlike when you are materializing the spiritual. Woo! You are godlike when you are manifesting your imagination, when you are materializing your intention, when you are taking the stuff that's inside of you and manifesting it on the outside in the form of something that brings value or solutions to others. And so godlikeness, or what is sometimes called godliness, has so much to do with creativity and innovation and the creation of value and the creation of solutions. That's why I'm going to make a crazy bold statement here. And I'm going to say that entrepreneurship, pure entrepreneurship, is a very godlike activity. Entrepreneurship is a very godlike activity because the entrepreneur begins with an idea, begins with a possibility that begins to grow in the womb of his imagination until he begins figuring out through his consciousness how and in what stages and phases he can materialize that idea. And the entrepreneur begins to build a world of solutions and a world of value and a world of assistance and an amazing world and a system capable of supporting it and sustaining it so that it becomes sustainable and profitable, having seed in itself, reproducing after its own kind. An entrepreneur does that. And therein you see the image and likeness of God. So if you really want to be God-like, create something. Write a book. Write and publish a song. Come on, somebody. Build something. Make something. Work on something. Manifest something. Materialize your intention and your ideas. That's a very godlike activity. That was so good. We need to clap. Now here's where we're going to understand why faith is access to omnipotence, is the bridge between humans and omnipotence. Faith is omnipotent in this respect, because faith is the spiritual substance of the things you hope for. Right? It's spiritual. And the thing you hope for is physical. But the substance of the physical thing is spiritual. And as faith is spiritual currency, and as faith is a spiritual force, or the substance of the things you hope for, then actually faith belongs to the truth. Okay? It's not just faith in faith, right? So again, there's some people out here, perhaps they're in the metaphysical community, the mystical community, who literally venerate faith as God itself, right? And for them, faith, or in anything is all powerful. But I'm going to say faith in the truth is where the true power is. It's faith in the truth. It's believing the truth. It's believing the truth that actually connects you with infinite intelligence and omnipotence. It's faith in the truth. Because it's the truth that is the ultimate power. Now, let's look at this. And that's why I've said here, truth over facts. Truth over facts. There's a difference between the truth and the facts. There is a difference. There's a thin line, but there is a difference. And here's the difference. The truth is spiritual. The facts are physical. The truth is spiritual. The facts are physical. One more time. The truth is spiritual. The facts are physical. And because the truth is spiritual, the truth belongs to a higher court, to a higher realm, and to the first cause of every other realm. The truth belongs to the root cause of physical things. The truth is higher than the facts. Facts are physical, truth is spiritual. Physical things came out of the spiritual world. Physical things owe their existence to the spiritual world. Physical things start their journey in the spiritual world. And the truth is spiritual. The facts are physical. Now, as such, the facts are subordinate to a higher law. Every physical fact is subordinate to a higher law. And that's the real definition of a miracle, because miracles occur when physical laws are temporarily suspended because they were overruled by a higher court. Woo! Somebody need to scream. When does a miracle occur? When physical laws of physics, are temporarily suspended because they were overruled by a higher court. Right? So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are cast into the fiery furnace. Has been heated 7 times hotter. The guys who throw them in are consumed by the heat of just getting near to the furnace. But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego come out of the furnace without the smell of smoke, without their hair singed, without their clothes singed. They come out of the furnace. That's a miracle. Well, what happened? The physical laws, the laws of physics governing that entire scenario, were temporarily suspended because they were overruled by a fourth man in the fire. They were overruled by a higher court. And so what you had was a set of facts, but they were overruled by the truth, which is spiritual. The truth is always a fact, but the facts are not always true. This is a very, very important statement. The truth is always a fact, but the facts are not always true. God's word is the truth. God's word is the truth. And when his truth collides with your facts, you have a choice to make. Right? So God's word is the truth. What happens when the truth of God collides with opposing facts in your life? What happens when God says you are rich and in the physical world there's nothing in your bank? Okay? The truth is now colliding with the facts. And when the truth collides with the facts in your life, you have a choice to make. And here's the choice. You either act like the facts are true, or you act like the truth is a fact. Oh, somebody need to help me scream out here. When the truth of God collides with the facts of your life, you have to choose whether you're going to act like those facts of your life, those physical facts of your life are true, or you're going to act like the truth of God is the fact. And so the common denominator here is act. Woo! Act. What did I say? Act. Because faith is a fact. Faith is an act. And faith without works is dead. And we do things by faith. We do things because of faith. We act as if certain things were true. Now, if you act as though certain things are true, you are siding with the truth against the facts. If you act as though what God says is true, you are siding with the truth against the facts. But if you act like the facts, the physical facts of your life are the truth, you're siding with the facts against the truth. And so you're going to have to decide, are you going to act like these facts are true, or are you going to act like the truth is the fact? And someone said, Bishop, are you encouraging us to pretend or to be in denial about the facts of our lives? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We are not pretending. We are not pretending. We are positioning. Woo! When you side with the truth against the facts, and you say, let God be true and every man a liar, and you say that even though in the physical world, I feel, this is happening, these things are happening, but I'm going to act as if everything God said is true, okay? When you do that, you're not in denial of those facts. That's not what you're doing. You're not pretending that the facts aren't there. You are positioning yourself. Watch this now. You are not denying the existence of the physical facts. You are simply rising above them. You are positioning yourself above them when you side with the truth. So you're taking a superior position. You're saying, okay, well, here are the facts of my life, but I'm going to take a higher, superior position when I act as though the truth is the real facts, that the truth, it belongs to a higher court that can temporarily suspend or permanently suspend whatever physical facts I am facing. I'm going to position myself above the circumstances. You see, because when you're doing this, you are realizing that physical illusions do not change spiritual reality. Lord, I told you it's going to be deep. Physical illusions don't change the spiritual reality. When the Bible says, let the weak say, I am strong, or the poor say, I am rich. When God tells you to identify as blessed, as favored, as chosen, as anointed, okay? When the Bible calls you to identify that way, it's not asking you to live in denial. It's not pretending, it's positioning. When you identify with the truth, you are positioning yourself in a higher court, at a higher level, in a superior realm. Because you know that physical illusion doesn't change spiritual reality. Okay, so what do I mean by physical illusion? Because, we're taught in secular society to think that physical things are real, and what we imagine and what we believe, and the unseen is illusions. Okay? But biblically, the unseen is real, and physical things are expressions, reflections. And in this respect, the illusion is in the physical. You say, well, how can you? Well, I can go back to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, right? What was the reality? The reality was that fire doesn't always burn. Okay, fire doesn't always consume things that it surrounds. All right, that the belief that fire always consumes is based on an illusion. The spiritual reality is that there is a protection, there is a shield that God can place on you or on things such that it transcends the physical laws, the physical facts governing the function of fire. We see this with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. We also see it with the burning bush. It was on fire but not consumed. Physical illusion doesn't change spiritual reality. Let God be true and every man a liar. We are simply choosing to side with the truth in the face of the facts. Now, I'm going to close with this. Imagination is the factory of fortune for creators. Imagination is the factory of fortune for creators. So let's look at the bullet points. God is the Omni. God is omnipresent, potent, and science, and omniscient. But only in your imagination can you connect with the Omni. It's only in your imagination that all things are possible. It's in your imagination that you can, move from one side of the globe to the other side of the globe at the speed of thought. It's in your imagination that there is all kinds of knowledge, understandings, potential combinations, computations, patterns. It's all inside this realm of consciousness, the imagination. So the imagination is the closest that we get to omnipresence, omnipotence, and omniscience. So watch what God said. Or let me read this next bullet point. If your imagination meets with faith, you become unstoppable. So since in the imagination you can manufacture things, right? It's the workshop. It's where you start to create value for others. It's where you start the process of materializing your intentions, okay? It's where your intentions, it's where you make movies, right? You make movies in your image nation, your imagination. You make the movie there. But whenever faith, this spiritual substance of faith, connects with your imagination, you're unstoppable. When your idea is mixed with faith, you cannot be stopped. When your intention is mixed with faith, you cannot be stopped. Here's what Genesis 11 verse 6 says. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. What? Nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. And God was speaking to people who were in rebellion against him and said, even the rebellious man, the fallen man, once he has imagined to do something and he has decided to do something, he'll get it done. And God said, I'm the only one who can stop him. And so God did. Your fortune is in your factory. And so if you're looking for a fortune, guess where it is? It's in your creative capacity, your creative appetite, your ability to imagine and then to materialize your ideas and your intention. Wow. Faith is the vehicle that brings the fortune out of your factory. You may have millions in your mind, but getting it into your bank will require an equal level of faith. Yeah. So you may have millions in your mind, but it won't get into your bank outside of faith, the spiritual substance of the things you hope for. All right. The millions may be in your mind, but until that is mixed with faith, put a little speck of faith in there, it's just going to stay in your mind. You may have a book in you. It's going to stay in you. You may have a song in you. It's going to stay in you. You may have a business enterprise inside of you. It's going to stay in you. You may have a voluntary enterprise, a social enterprise inside of you. It's going to stay in you. You may have a piece of technology, an invention inside of you. It's going to stay in you. It's going to stay in you until a little speck of the spiritual substance from which that makes the things you hope for, until that is mixed with what's in you, it's going to stay in you. But when faith comes, you will materialize your book. When faith comes, you'll materialize the song. When faith comes, you're going to materialize the business. When faith comes, you're going to materialize the initiative, the venture. You're going to materialize the invention, the technology, the software, the solution. You will materialize it because there's faith. in your factory. Faith is the vehicle that brings the fortune out of your factory. Faith determines your focus. Faith sets your expectations. Faith determines your energy level. Faith causes you to execute on an idea. I'm going to close with this. Business is a spiritual adventure started and sustained by faith. Yeah, business, the creation of value, enterprise, entrepreneurship is fundamentally a spiritual adventure because it started by faith, it is sustained by faith. Everything about it requires you to believe something, to trust, to rely on your gut, and to imagine, to craft, to shape internally, and then to materialize in stages and phases like God did in Genesis chapter number 1. Wow and wow. Look, I have had a blast sharing these concepts with you because this, if you hadn't already figured out, is one of my favorite subjects, and it's pretty much what the whole spiritual intelligence series was based on, is just really understanding the relationship between the spiritual and the material, and that they are actually two sides of the same coin, that it is the spiritual that gives meaning to the material. It's the material that gives expression to the spiritual, and that material things without spiritual meaning are dead, and spiritual things without material expression are insignificant. That any attempt to separate spirit from the body is a formula for death, that actually the body without the spirit is death, according to James. And in Genesis 2, God breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. It's by uniting the spiritual with the physical, the material, that you create life. And so I wanted you to understand in this session that physical things have spiritual roots. And the principle of faith puts you in the spiritual world where physical things can be made, manufactured, ahead of being materialized. So here's what I want to say to you. Before we close today, here's what I want to say to you. I did a webinar yesterday. It was crazy good. It's called Fit for the Fight. Crazy good. I want you to know how you can catch the replay of that webinar. I'm going to put a link in the description so you'll know where and how you can catch the replay. I need you to know something. We're building a community. We are building a global kingdom community. And there are people joining this community on a daily basis from all over the world. It's an extension of the kingdom conversation, right, that we're having right now. But it's where kingdom conscious believers get to connect, share, learn, and grow with other kingdom conscious believers. And I want you to know that when I do a webinar, like an exclusive webinar on the Zoom platform, we're taking those replays and we're making those replays available in our community for our community. So join the community. I'm going to throw up an ad about it. Join the community because it's completely free. We don't badger you in our community. We don't take up offerings in our community like you've never seen me take up an offering on my YouTube channel. We don't do that, right? Not knocking people that do, just saying we have a different model. So here's the point. You join it for free. You can watch the replay of the webinar that I did yesterday, and you can watch some of the replays of some of the epic webinars we've done in the past. And we're loading up more and more of the replays of those webinars on that platform. It's called the New Breed Community, and it's on the Heartbeat platform. So check the description. Check the link in the description below. Join our community and let's continue this great kingdom conversation. Until next time, this is Bishop Wayne Malcolm, the Business Bishop, bidding you Godspeed in Jesus' mighty name. Peace out. Shalom.
Hey there, entrepreneurs. If you enjoy the teachings of Bishop Wayne Malcolm, I've got something amazing for you. Introducing the New Breed Community, an exclusive online platform for kingdom-conscious entrepreneurs, professionals, investors, and creators. This isn't just a community, it's a movement where we discuss and explore kingdom concepts. Here, kingdom-minded people connect, share, learn, and grow together. Inside, you'll find exclusive content from Bishop Wayne Malcolm, including special sessions just for members. And the best part? It's free to join. The New Breed community sits on the Heartbeat platform, where Bishop Wayne Malcolm is excited to meet you online. Join us for weekly Q&A sessions with Bishop Wayne and get exclusive insights that can transform your life. Love to read? Join our book club to feed your mind and spirit. Got a prayer request? Post it and let's lift each other up. Have a testimony? Share how God's goodness is shining in your life. We're more than just a community, we're a movement. Discover the powerful relationship between your profession and your purpose. Join us now on the Heartbeat platform. Connect with us and let's grow together. Bishop Wayne Malcolm and the New Breed community are waiting for you. So what are you waiting for? Hit that join button and step into a world of connection and growth. A warm welcome awaits you. See you on the inside.
Attention God's entrepreneurs. Did you know that there is a success system deeply hidden and encoded in the stories of the Bible? The system works 100% of the time for people who work it, even if they work it unconsciously or not realizing its spiritual roots. Join the Business Bishop for a masterclass in God's success system and discover how to turn your opportunities into outcomes, your ideas into incomes, and your passion into profits. The Success Streams Masterclass includes step-by-step training on the system and comes with additional bonus courses by the Business Bishop. Perhaps you've tried everything else. Now try God's way and watch the same power that took Israel from slavery to mastery take you from the plague of poverty to the pinnacles of prosperity. Are you ready? Click the link in the description to find out more or to secure your seat in this week's training.
Yo, it's time to rise, wake up from your sleep. Bishop Wayne's got the guidance, the wisdom runs deep. Subscribe and like, let's spread this truth loud. Comment, share it wide, let's stand tall, be proud. Kingdom coaching, we got the plan. Success principles, grab a hold and take a stand. Subscribe, like, comment and share. Bishop Wayne's teaching, we're climbing the stair. In the kingdom of hopes, together we'll thrive. With biblical truths, we'll keep dreams alive. Elevate your mind, shift that identity. In the marketplace of life, claim your clarity. Rule in the midst of the trials and the gloom. With faith as your armor, watch blessings consume. Stand firm, be bold, let your light be known. With each step forward, you'll claim your throne. Subscribe, like, comment and share. Bishop Wayne's teaching, we're climbing the stair. In the kingdom of hopes, together we'll thrive. With biblical truths, we'll keep dreams alive. So rise up now, don't let this pass. The kingdom awaits, it's time to amass. So rise up now, don't let this pass. The kingdom awaits, it's time to amass.